The war between humans and the Tavari Empire had ended only 3 months ago, but peace still felt like a dream. Millions were dead, cities burned, and trust between the two races was nothing more than dust in the stars. The humans had won, but the victory felt hollow, quiet, cold, and uneasy. On board the human colony ship Odyssey 9, Commander Ethan Cole stood in the docking bay, waiting for a strange gift sent by the Tavari as part of the peace agreement. The soldiers around him whispered nervously, unsure what to expect. The Tavari were known for their cruelty in strange ways. Their technology was far beyond human understanding. The hangar doors opened with a loud metallic groan. 2 Tavari guards walked in, dragging a tall figure in silver chains. Her skin shimmered faintly under the lights, pale blue, almost glowing. Her long white hair was tangled, her eyes hidden behind a metal visor. She was clearly one of them, a Tavari female, young, proud, and silent. "This is your gift," one of the Tavari guards said coldly. "Her name is Lyra, former captain of the Star Division. She has been punished for betraying the Empire. From this moment she belongs to you." Ethan frowned. "I don't believe in slaves," he said firmly. The guard's expression didn't change. "You don't have to believe. Just accept. Our deal is complete." They turned and left, leaving the alien girl kneeling on the cold floor, her hands bound in glowing cuffs. For a long moment, no one moved. The soldiers stared, whispering. "She's dangerous," one muttered. "She killed hundreds of our people," another hissed. "Why give her to us? What if it's a trap?" Ethan looked at her carefully. She didn't speak or even lift her head. She just knelt there motionless like a statue. He sighed. "Take her to quarters C9, he ordered. "I'll handle her myself." That night the ship floated silently through the void. Ethan sat in his cabin reading the file the Tavari had sent. Lyra, War Officer, Star Division. Crime, treason against the Tavari Empire. Sentence, eternal servitude to humans, no other details. No reason, just words on a glowing screen. He rubbed his eyes, tired. "Why give me this?" he muttered. "What game are they playing?" A soft beep came from the door. He opened it. Lyra stood there, her hands still chained. Her visor was cracked and faint blue light shone from beneath it. "I was told." "You are my owner," she said in a low, calm voice. Ethan frowned. "I'm not your owner." "You're free to rest, eat, and—" She interrupted him sharply. "I don't eat your food. I don't rest in human beds. Just tell me what you want." Her tone was not broken or weak, and it was proud, defiant. Ethan could almost feel the fire in her words. "I want answers," he said. "Why did your people send you here? What did you do to make them hate you so much?" For a moment, silence. Then she whispered, "I showed mercy." Ethan blinked, confused. "Mercy?" Before he could ask more, the lights flickered. A strange humming sound filled the room, deep, metallic, almost alive. The screen on his desk began to glitch, showing strange Tavari symbols. Lyra stepped back, alarmed. "Something is wrong," she said softly. The ship's alarm blared suddenly. "Warning. Energy fluctuation detected in lower deck." Ethan ran to the comm panel. "Bridge report static." Then a broken voice. "Commander, something's spreading from her quarters. Systems failing." The sound cut off. Ethan looked at Lyra. "What did you do?" Her eyes glowed brighter behind the visor. "Nothing," she said, but her voice trembled. "It's following me." "Following you?" She looked around as if hearing something far away. "It knows I'm here." A sudden loud bang echoed through the corridor outside. Lights burst, sparks showered. The whole ship shook. Ethan grabbed her arm and pulled her to the wall. "Stay down." But Lyra's body began to glow with strange white energy. Her cuffs hummed louder, the symbols on them burning red. Ethan shouted, "What's happening?" Lyra's voice cracked with fear and anger. "They didn't send me as a peace offering. They sent me as a warning." The ship's lights died completely. In the darkness, only her glowing eyes remained. Then a distorted voice came through the comm. Cold, mechanical, whispering, "She is not what she seems. Commander Cole, she will destroy you all." Ethan's blood ran cold. He looked at the alien girl trembling before him. Her visor shattered completely, revealing bright golden eyes that seemed to shine like stars. For a heartbeat, time stopped, and then the alarm screamed again, echoing through the ship, loud and endless. The emergency alarms kept howling through the long steel corridors of Odyssey 9. Red lights flashed like angry eyes, and the sound of running boots echoed across the decks. Commander Ethan Cole barked orders through the comm, but half of the systems were down. Screens flickered, power lines sparked, and the air felt thick with tension. Whatever had happened when Lyra arrived, it had spread like wildfire. "Bridge, report." Ethan shouted again, his voice cutting through the noise. "Sir, energy surge originated from Deck 7, right where the aliens' quarters are." A crewman yelled over the radio. "We're trying to contain it, but—" The message broke into static again. Ethan clenched his jaw. He looked at Lyra, who stood quietly beside him. Her chains glowed faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. Her golden eyes followed the movement of every light and sound around them, calm but alert. "I told you," she said softly, her voice steady despite the chaos. "It's not me. It's something that came with me." Ethan frowned. "You expect me to believe that?" Lyra looked at him, her expression unreadable. "Believe what you see, not what you fear." Before he could reply, the door behind them burst open. 3 armed soldiers stormed in, weapons aimed straight at Lyra. "Commander, step away from the alien," shouted Lieutenant Vega, his face pale with anger. "She's the cause of this mess." Lyra didn't move. She didn't even blink. Ethan raised his hand. "Stand down, Lieutenant." "We don't know that. She's Tavari." Everything went to hell the moment she came aboard. Vega snapped. "Look at her eyes. Look at those cuffs. She's a damn weapon." Ethan could feel the crew's fear, sharp, hot, and dangerous. He knew one wrong move could turn this into a bloodbath. He turned to Lyra. "Tell them what's going on." "Help me help you." Lyra's lips tightened. "You wouldn't understand." "Try me," Ethan said. Finally, she spoke. "Those cuffs you see? They're not for control. They're for containment. My people put something inside me, a signal, a tracker, a curse, I don't know. Wherever I go, it follows," Vega sneered. "And what is it?" Lyra looked down. "A hunter. A machine that feeds on energy. It's probably already inside your systems." The lights flickered again. One by one, the hallway lamps turned off until only the emergency red glow remained. A low hum filled the air, deep and strange like breathing made of metal. Ethan's heart pounded. Everyone fall back, now. But before they could move, a shape appeared in the darkness, crawling along the ceiling like a shadow. It was made of black mist and electric sparks, shifting and twisting like it was alive. "What the hell is that?" Vega whispered. Lyra stepped forward, eyes glowing brighter. "It's the hunter." The creature dropped from the ceiling and slammed into the floor, sending out a shockwave that threw them all backward. Sparks flew. The air smelled of burning metal. Ethan coughed, his ears ringing. The hunter's form pulsed like a living storm, half machine, half ghost. Its voice echoed through the ship's speakers, cold and emotionless. "Target. Lyra Tell detected, terminate." The soldiers opened fire, bullets passing through its smoky body. It didn't even flinch. Ethan grabbed Lyra's arm. "Move!" They ran down the corridor as the creature tore through walls behind them. Every light it passed shattered. Every system it touched died. The ship screamed in agony. They dove into a maintenance shaft and sealed the door behind them. Ethan gasped for breath. "What is that thing really?" Lyra pressed her hand against the metal wall, her expression full of guilt. "It's part of Tavari punishment. They made it from the same tech that gave us life. It hunts those who betray the Empire. It doesn't stop until the target is dead." Ethan stared at her. "So it's not just after you?" "It's killing us to get to you," she nodded slowly. "It doesn't care who burns in its path." Ethan looked down the dark shaft, listening to the distant sound of metal tearing. "Then we'll stop it." "You can't," she said softly. "Even my people couldn't." Ethan's eyes hardened. "We're human. We don't give up that easily." Lyra turned her gaze toward him. There was something new in her eyes now. Not pride, not defiance, something softer. "You would risk your life for me?" she asked quietly. "I don't care who you are," Ethan said. "No one deserves to be hunted like that." Before Lyra could answer, a loud clang echoed above them. The hunter had found the shaft. Ethan raised his weapon, his voice calm but fierce. "Stay behind me." Lyra whispered something in her language, a short phrase that sounded like a prayer or a promise. The ceiling tore open, and the hunter's glowing face appeared, a storm of light and shadow. Ethan fired. Lyra screamed, The shaft exploded in blue light, and then silence. The lights went out. The ship floated in darkness once again. The ship was silent now. No alarms, no lights, only darkness broken by small blue sparks drifting through the air. Smoke filled the narrow shaft where Ethan and Lyra had fallen after the explosion. The hunter was gone, at least for the moment. Ethan groaned, pushing a broken metal panel off his shoulder. "You alive?" A faint glow flickered beside him. Lyra sat on the floor, eyes dim, cuffs cracked and humming weakly. Her blue skin had dark marks like burns. "I am, for now," she whispered. Ethan crawled closer. "We need to get to engineering. I can restore power and lock down the lower decks." Lyra shook her head slowly. "No, that won't stop it. It always finds the one it was made for." He ignored her words and helped her stand. "We'll figure it out later. Right now we move." They walked through a corridor filled with smoke and floating sparks. The once bright white walls were blackened, wires hanging like vines. Every few seconds they could hear the hunter's distant echo, a soft metallic hiss that made the air feel colder. As they reached a maintenance bay, Ethan sealed the doors and activated a single backup light. The pale glow filled the room, making Lyra's eyes shine like gold again. "Sit," Ethan said, pulling out a first aid kit. "Let me check your injuries." She hesitated. "You should not touch me. My blood is not like yours." "I don't care," Ethan replied. "I'm not letting you die on my watch." He cleaned the burn on her arm. The blue liquid that oozed out shimmered like melted glass. It didn't look human, yet it didn't look monstrous either. It was beautiful and strange. "You bleed light," Ethan murmured. Lyra smiled faintly. "That's what your people called it once in the light of the stars. My kind used to think it made us gods, but it only made us cruel." Ethan stopped what he was doing and looked at her. "You said the Tavari punished you because you showed mercy. What did you mean?" For a moment she didn't speak. The light flickered, shadows stretching across her face. Then she said quietly, "Do you remember the Battle of Sierra 7? Ethan stiffened. Everyone remembered. It was one of the worst human massacres. 3 million people lost when a Tavari fleet bombed an entire colony. I was there," she continued. "I commanded one of the strike groups. My orders were clear: erase every human signal. But when we arrived, we found civilians hiding under the mountains, children, old ones, people with no weapons." Her voice trembled slightly. "I couldn't do it. I ordered my fleet to stand down. I told them I wouldn't kill the innocent. My soldiers followed me." Ethan's jaw tightened. "But the colony was destroyed anyway." Lyra nodded, her eyes full of pain. "Yes, another fleet came behind us. They finished what I refused to start. The Empire called me a traitor, said I had broken the chain of command. They took everything, my name, my honor, my freedom. And then," she lifted her wrists, showing the glowing cuffs, "they bound me with these. They said they would erase my soul in slow time. But before that, they gave me to your people, to remind me what I had saved." Ethan stared at her in silence. The story didn't sound like the words of a liar. There was sorrow in every breath she took. "They turned mercy into punishment," he said softly. Lyra looked away. "That is the Tavari way. Mercy is weakness." A deep vibration shook the floor beneath them. Dust rained from the ceiling. Ethan grabbed his communicator. "Bridge, report." Only static answered. Lyra stood up quickly. Her golden eyes brightened again, alert. "It's here." It found us. The temperature dropped. Frost formed along the metal walls. A whisper floated through the air, cold and hollow. "Target confirmed. Eliminate." The hunter came through the floor like liquid shadow. It didn't walk. It flowed, twisting and stretching, eyes of electric blue. Ethan raised his weapon, firing again and again, but the bullets passed through like smoke. Lyra stepped forward, fire in her eyes. "You want me? Then take me." She pressed her palms together and her cuffs glowed bright white. Energy exploded from her hands like lightning, hitting the creature with a deafening blast. The entire room filled with light. Ethan shielded his face. When the glow faded, the hunter was gone, but so was half the room's power grid. Lyra fell to her knees, exhausted. The cuffs smoked and cracked open slightly. Ethan knelt beside her, stunned. "What was that?" "My real power," she whispered weakly. "The reason they feared me." He touched the broken metal cuffs gently. "They were not just chains. They were locks." Lyra nodded, breathing heavily. "Yes, locks for something even I can't fully control." Ethan looked around the ruined bay, smoke rising from the floor. "Then we'll find a way to control it. Together. Lyra lifted her gaze to him, eyes soft but shining. You would help a creature like me? Ethan smiled faintly. You're not a creature. You're a soldier who made the right choice. A distant alarm began to echo again, slow, steady, haunting. Lyra looked toward the sound. The hunter isn't dead. That blast only slowed it down. Ethan helped her to her feet. Then we better move before it wakes up. As they left the room, the lights flickered one last time. The broken cuffs on Lyra's wrists glowed faintly, half open, half alive, and somewhere deep in the ship, the hunter's cold voice whispered once more, "The light will not hide forever." The ship drifted near the edge of a dying star system, a place called the Grave Belt. It was quiet there, too quiet. Broken satellites floated like ghosts and old battle wreckage circled the cold sun. The Odyssey 9 was wounded, its engines failing, lights dim, and half its crew missing. Commander Ethan Cole stood on the bridge, staring at the hollow darkness outside. Every few minutes a tremor ran through the ship like a heartbeat slowing down. Behind him, Lyra stood in silence. Her chains were gone now, melted after the last blast. Her wrists glowed faintly with energy she could no longer hide. "You should have left me," she said quietly. "The hunter won't stop until I am gone. You risk everyone's life." Ethan turned to face her. "I told you I don't abandon people." Her golden eyes softened. "You still call me people? Even after what I am?" Ethan gave a small, tired smile. "I've met humans who acted less human than you." Before she could answer, the comm crackled. Lieutenant Vega's voice came through, tight and angry. "Commander, we've detected a Tavari ship approaching." No response to our hails. "They're coming in fast." Ethan's heart sank. "How many?" "Just one. But it's big. Looks like a war cruiser." Lyra's expression darkened. "That's not a rescue. It's an execution team." Ethan nodded grimly. "Get to the engine room. Seal the bulkheads." Lyra hesitated. "You plan to fight them?" "Unless you know another way." She looked out the window. The Tavari ship was now visible, a silver dagger of light gliding toward them. "There is one way," she whispered. "But you won't like it." Minutes later, the Tavari warship's communication channel opened. The screen on the bridge flickered to life, showing a tall alien male in dark armor. His features were sharp, his eyes like cold fire. "Lyra Tell," he said, his voice echoing across the bridge. "My sister." Ethan's grip on his weapon tightened. "Sister?" Lyra stepped forward slowly. "Rintel, you shouldn't have come." "I had no choice," her brother replied. "The council sent me to erase you. But I came for something else and to offer mercy before the end." Ethan stepped between them. "She's not your enemy." Rintel's gaze turned toward him, calm but deadly. "And you must be the human who thinks kindness will save you." How noble, and how foolish. The transmission ended. A moment later, the Tavari ship fired. The Odyssey 9 shook violently as energy blasts ripped through its hull. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and crew members shouted over the chaos. Ethan barked orders. "Shields up! Fire all forward weapons!" But the Tavari cruiser was too strong. Each shot from its cannons tore another wound into the human ship. Lyra ran to the tactical station, her hands glowing. "Let me help." Vega glared at her. "You've done enough damage already." Ethan cut him off. "Stand down." "She's on our side." He turned to Lyra. "What can you do?" She placed her palms on the control panel. Her eyes flared golden and the entire system lit up. The screens flashed symbols. Not human, not Tavari, something older. The ship's dying power surged back to life. Ethan stared in shock. "You're merging with the systems?" Lyra's voice sounded distant, almost mechanical. "I'm guiding the ship, but I can't hold it for long." Outside, the Odyssey 9 twisted like a wounded animal, dodging blasts and firing back with new precision. For a moment, it looked like hope. Then Rintel's voice returned, cold and angry. "You would use your curse against your own people?" Lyra's answer was quiet but firm. "I fight for what's right, not for what's commanded." The Tavari ship charged its main cannon. The energy grew brighter, filling the void with blue light. Lyra turned to Ethan, her face pale. "If that weapon fires, everything here will be gone, both ships." Ethan clenched his fists. "Then we take it out first." He hit the intercom. "All hands prepare for ramming speed." The crew stared in disbelief. "Sir, we won't survive that." Ethan looked at Lyra. "We don't need to." She met his eyes. There was fear, but also trust. "You have a plan?" Sort of, he said, forcing a grin. You're going to make us invisible. Lyra closed her eyes, focusing all her strength. The ship's lights dimmed, then vanished completely. Outside, the Odyssey 9 disappeared into the dark void, hidden in a cloud of static and broken debris. The Tavari cruiser fired blindly, beams slicing through empty space. Ethan whispered, "Now." Lyra unleashed her power again, sending a surge through the engines. The Odyssey 9 shot forward like a shadow, crashing into the Tavari ship's cannon with blinding light. The explosion was enormous, blue fire blooming like a second sun. The shockwave threw the Odyssey 9 away, spinning helplessly through the dark. Systems failed, alarms died, and silence returned. Ethan coughed, crawling across the floor. Smoke and sparks filled the bridge. "Lyra?" he called. No answer. Then, faintly, he saw her, lying near the console, breathing weakly. Her glowing wrists were dark now, the light fading. Ethan knelt beside her. "Hey, stay with me." Her eyes fluttered open. "Did we win?" He smiled through the smoke. "You saved us all." She smiled faintly, whispering, "Then maybe." Mercy was not a mistake. The last of her energy flickered out as the ship drifted silently among the wreckage. Two souls caught between life, death, and the endless dark of space. The Odyssey 9 drifted silently in the black sea of stars. Its hull was cracked, engines cold, and its crew scattered across damaged sections. Smoke curled through the corridors like ghosts of the fallen. Somewhere deep inside the wreck, Ethan Cole opened his eyes to the smell of burning metal. He was lying in a tilted control room. Gravity flickered weakly, pulling everything at strange angles. Sparks showered from broken wires, and pieces of glass floated through the air like dust in sunlight. His first thought was Lyra. "Lyra!" he shouted, coughing through the smoke. No answer. He stumbled forward, searching through the wreckage until he saw a faint golden glow coming from under a collapsed console. He pushed the debris aside with shaking hands. There she was, pale blue skin marked with burns, her white hair tangled and full of ash, but alive. Her eyes opened slowly. "You didn't leave," she whispered weakly. "Couldn't," Ethan said with a tired smile. "You still owe me for saving you twice." Lyra let out a soft laugh, though pain flickered across her face. "You humans never stop trying to be heroes." He helped her sit up. Outside the shattered window, a small planet hung in the distance, gray, cold, and silent. "What is that?" Ethan asked. Lyra's eyes narrowed. "The dead moon of Varus. I've heard stories about it. My people used it long ago, before even the Tavari Empire existed. Can we land there?" She hesitated. "We can, but we may not want to." Ethan didn't have a choice. The ship was dying. Then that's where we're going. Hours later, the half-ruined shuttle from Odyssey 9 descended through a stormy sky, lightning flashing against the gray clouds. The surface of Varus was lifeless, wide plains of ash and broken stone. Strange towers of metal bones jutted from the ground like frozen waves. When the shuttle landed, its engines sputtered and went silent forever. Ethan stepped out first, the wind cold and heavy. Lyra followed, wrapping a torn blanket around her shoulders. "This place feels wrong," she said softly, "like it remembers everything that died here." Ethan scanned the horizon with his visor. "I'm picking up energy signals. Strong ones. Maybe we can use them to fix communications." They walked across the empty wasteland until they reached a wide crater. At its center stood a huge black structure, half buried, half alive with faint blue light. Lyra froze. That's not supposed to exist anymore." Ethan frowned. "What is it?" She stepped closer, voice trembling. "The Ether Core, a weapon older than the Tavari Empire. It doesn't destroy with fire or bombs. It destroys memory itself. Whole worlds forgotten, erased from history as if they never were." Ethan stared at her in disbelief. "Why would anyone build that?" "Because once the Tavari feared a war they couldn't win," she said. "So they made something that could make the enemy never exist at all. But it cost them too much. They buried it here, hoping it would never awaken again." Ethan knelt near the structure, examining its cracked surface. "Then why is it glowing?" Lyra's expression darkened. "Because the hunter's signal came from this place. It was guarding this weapon, not me." He stood slowly, realization hitting him. "So the Tavari sent you here on purpose. Not as a punishment, as bait." Lyra looked down, her face full of sorrow. "Yes, they wanted the humans to find me. They knew the hunter would follow, and when it did, it would reactivate the ether core. Everything near it and every human memory would be erased. Ethan's fists tightened. Then we shut it down before that happens. Lyra shook her head. We can't. Only a Tavari bloodline can touch the core safely. Anyone else will vanish instantly. Ethan gave her a long look. Then it's your choice. She stared at the glowing weapon, fear and pain in her golden eyes. If I destroy it, my people will hunt me forever. If I don't, yours will die. Either way, I lose. Ethan placed his hand on her shoulder. Then we lose together. She looked at him, surprised. You would throw away everything? For me? He smiled faintly. You're not just you anymore. You're part of this fight. And maybe part of me. For a long moment, neither spoke. The storm rumbled above them, thunder shaking the dead moon. Lyra finally took a deep breath. Then let's end this. She walked toward the ether core, her body beginning to glow again, brighter than ever before. Symbols rose along her arms, ancient Tavari runes burning gold. Ethan shielded his eyes. Lyra, wait, what's happening? Her voice echoed strong and clear. I'm rewriting the command code. It'll collapse the weapon's heart, but when it does, I may not come back. Don't say that, Ethan shouted. Lyra smiled gently. Humans, always afraid of goodbye. Light erupted from the core, blinding white. The ground shook, the air trembled, and the storm broke apart. For a second, everything was silent. Then a shockwave burst outward, tearing through the dust and scattering the storm clouds. When the light faded, the ether core was gone. Only ashes remained. Ethan ran forward, coughing through the smoke. Lyra, Lyra! He found her lying on the ground, breathing weakly, her glow almost gone. She whispered, It's over. Ethan knelt beside her, his voice shaking. You did it. You saved us. Lyra's eyes fluttered. No, we saved each other. He held her hand, feeling the warmth fade from her skin as the stars slowly returned above them, quiet witnesses to a love born from war. The wind howled over the dead moon of Varus dust, danced like ghosts across the crater where the ether core had once stood. Now it was gone. Nothing remained but ashes glowing faintly in the cold light. Ethan Cole sat beside Lyra, who lay motionless on the gray ground. Her breathing was weak, her blue skin pale and cracked with faint golden light pulsing under it. The blast had drained her almost completely. Ethan gently brushed the dust from her face. Hey, he said softly, forcing a smile. You did it. You saved everyone. You can rest now. Her eyes opened slowly, golden and dim. Rest, not yet, she whispered. They'll come for us. They always do, Ethan frowned. Who? The Tavari, she said, her voice fading. My brother won't stop until my light is gone. Ethan's stomach twisted. Then let him come. He'll have to get through me first. She tried to smile, but her expression turned to sorrow. You can't fight him, Ethan. He was trained to kill stars. Before Ethan could answer, a thunderous roar echoed across the valley. He looked up. A silver warship was descending from the clouds, its engines howling like angry beasts. Tavari symbols burned red on its hull. Lyra's eyes widened. It's him. The ship landed near the crater, kicking up a storm of dust. From its belly, a ramp extended, and out stepped Rintel, Lyra's brother. His armor shimmered like liquid steel, and his eyes burned cold. He looked at Lyra, then at Ethan, and his lips curled in disgust. So this is the human who poisoned my sister's heart. Ethan stood, holding his weapon. You mean the man who saved her life? Rintel ignored him, his gaze fixed on Lyra. You destroyed the ether core. You erased the Empire's most sacred weapon. Do you know what that means? Lyra struggled to sit up. It means no one else will suffer because of it. Rintel's face darkened. You've doomed our people. The Council will see this as treason. Then let them, she said. The Tavari have forgotten what mercy means. Rintel raised his arm, a blade of pure energy forming in his hand. Mercy is for the weak. Ethan aimed his rifle. You take one more step and I'll... But before he could finish, Rintel flicked his wrist. A wave of force knocked Ethan backward, sending him crashing into a rock. The weapon flew from his hands. Lyra screamed. Stop, he's not your enemy. Rintel looked at her with pain hidden behind anger. He's human. He is the enemy. She stood shakily, energy flickering around her like fading fire. No, brother. The real enemy is what we've become. For a moment, silence hung heavy between them. The wind whistled through the ruins. Then Rintel stepped closer. "If you stand with him, Lyra," he said, voice trembling, "then you stand against your blood." Lyra's eyes glowed brighter. "Then so be it." With a roar, he lunged at her. Their blades met, hers glowing gold, his blazing blue. Sparks flew, lighting up the gray wasteland. Ethan struggled to rise, pain shooting through his ribs. He watched them fight, their movements fast and fierce like two storms colliding. Rintel struck hard, his blade slicing the air with precision. Lyra blocked and countered, her energy weaker but her will unbroken. Every blow echoed through the barren moon. "You were always too soft," Rintel growled. "You believed in love and peace, lies that kill." "And you," Lyra shouted back, "believed in fear and power, truths that destroy." He slashed again, hitting her shoulder. She cried out, falling to one knee. Rintel raised his blade for the final strike. Ethan grabbed a fallen shard of metal and threw it. It struck Rintel's arm, breaking his aim for a split second. Lyra took the chance. She thrust her glowing blade upward, straight into his chest. Rintel froze, eyes wide with shock. Golden light spread from the wound, shining through his armor like cracks of sunlight through glass. He fell to his knees, gasping. "Sister, you chose them. Over us." Lyra knelt beside him, tears in her golden eyes. "I chose life, Rintel. I chose what's right." He tried to speak, but only a whisper came. "Then, perhaps you were always the stronger one." His body dissolved into soft light, scattering like dust in the wind. Lyra collapsed beside him, her strength gone. Ethan ran to her, holding her trembling hand. "Lyra, stay with me. Don't you dare leave now," she smiled weakly. "You humans. So stubborn." Ethan held her closer. "We're not done yet. We'll fix the ship. We'll go home." Lyra looked up at him, her golden eyes fading. "Home," she whispered. "Maybe. That's what I found." Her glow dimmed until it was only a faint shimmer. Ethan pressed his forehead against hers, whispering, "You're not dying." "Not while I'm here." The wind grew softer. The clouds began to clear. For the first time, sunlight broke through the gray sky of Varys, washing them in warmth. Lyra's voice was barely a breath. "Promise me, you'll remember the light." "I will," Ethan said, his voice shaking. "I'll remember you." Her hand went still in his. For a long time, Ethan sat there, holding her as the light of dawn spread over the dead moon. A light born not from war, but from love that refused to fade. Then faintly, her body flickered and her eyes opened again. Not golden, but white, pure and blinding. "I'm still here," she whispered, her voice glowing with power reborn. "And I think I'm not alone anymore." Ethan smiled through tears. "No, you're not." The rising sun cast soft light across the broken moon of Varys. The sky, once gray and full of dust, now glowed with faint colors, pale pink and gold. For the first time in centuries, warmth touched the dead ground. Ethan stood at the edge of the crater, watching the light spread. The ruins were quiet, but not lifeless anymore. Life had returned in whispers, small green shoots breaking through ash, glowing softly like the stars above. Behind him, Lyra stirred. She was alive. Her eyes opened slowly, no longer golden but a bright silver white, pure and calm. The energy inside her had changed. It wasn't violent now. It was peaceful, balanced, as if the chaos of her power had found harmony. Ethan knelt beside her. "You scared me," he said softly. Lyra smiled faintly. "I scare myself sometimes." "You shouldn't even be alive," Ethan said. "That blast should have killed us both." Lyra looked at her hands. They glowed faintly, like moonlight on water. Maybe it did. Maybe this is something new. He helped her sit up. Around them, the land shimmered faintly with new energy. The ether core's destruction hadn't ended everything. It had healed something deep in the planet and maybe in her. Lyra looked toward the sky where the Tavari ship had burned away. "My brother is gone," she whispered. "The council will send more when they find out what happened." "Let them," Ethan said firmly. "We'll be ready." She turned to him, curious. "We?" He smiled. "You think I'm letting you face them alone after everything we've been through?" Her lips curved in a small, tender smile. "You're either very brave or very foolish, Commander." "Both," he said. And she laughed softly, a sound that carried warmth across the cold valley. By evening, Ethan had repaired the shuttle using scraps from the fallen warship. The engines coughed but finally came to life. Lyra helped stabilize the core with her new energy. her touch gentle yet strong. As they lifted off the moon's surface, she looked down one last time. "This place was built to destroy," she said quietly. "Now it's a grave for the old world. Maybe that's how new things begin." Ethan nodded. "You sound like a poet," she smiled. "Or maybe I've spent too much time around humans." Days later, they reached Earth orbit. The planet looked calm from above, blue oceans and white clouds shining under sunlight. But Ethan knew peace was still fragile. As their shuttle entered the atmosphere, communication channels exploded with alerts. Dozens of ships surrounded them, human defense units and Tavari ambassadors alike. "Commander Cole," came a voice over the radio, "you are ordered to surrender your vessel. The alien prisoner is to be detained for questioning." Ethan looked at Lyra. "They still call you a prisoner?" Lyra's gaze was calm. "Then let's give them the truth." He nodded and opened the channel. "This is Commander Ethan Cole of the Odyssey 9. The Tavari woman aboard is no enemy. She saved our species. She destroyed a weapon that could have erased us from existence." The comm fell silent for a moment. Then a new voice spoke, soft, cautious, but curious. "And what proof do you have of this, Commander?" Ethan smiled faintly and looked at Lyra. "She's standing right here." Lyra stepped into the transmission's view, her glowing white eyes steady. "I am Lyra Tell of the Tavari. Once a soldier, once a slave. I broke my chains not for war, but for peace. My people may call me traitor, but I call myself free." Her voice was clear, calm, and full of truth. The entire channel went silent again. Even the ships outside seemed to pause. Then, unexpectedly, one of the Tavari cruisers lowered its weapons. Its captain spoke, "Your words reach farther than our laws. Perhaps peace deserves another chance." The human command ships followed, standing down their defenses. Ethan let out a long breath. "You just did what no army could do." Lyra smiled softly. "Maybe mercy isn't weakness after all." Weeks later, a ceremony was held on the surface of Earth, the first joint gathering of humans and Tavari. Ethan stood beside Lyra under a sky full of stars. She wore simple white robes, her silver eyes glowing faintly. The crowd was silent as the two of them stood before the Interplanetary Council. The Chancellor spoke first. "Lyra Tell of Tavari and Commander Ethan Cole of Earth. Through sacrifice, you have ended an age of hatred. The two of you remind us that peace is not given, it is made." Ethan glanced at Lyra. "Guess that means we did it." Lyra looked up at him, her expression warm. "We're only at the beginning." The Chancellor smiled. "Do you have anything to say to the Council?" Lyra took Ethan's hand. "Only this, in that no race, no world, no heart is too far gone to find light again." The crowd erupted in applause. The stars above shimmered like they were listening. Later that night, they stood alone by the ocean. The waves glowed faintly in the moonlight. Ethan looked at her. "So what now? Back to space?" Lyra leaned against him gently. "No. For the first time, I want to stay. I've fought too long to learn what love feels like. Now I want to live it." He smiled and kissed her forehead. "Then stay. With me." She looked up, her eyes shining like the stars above. "I was sent to you as punishment, Ethan. But maybe the universe was giving me something else instead." Ethan whispered, "What's that?" Lyra smiled softly. "A reason to believe in humanity." The waves rolled quietly as they stood together beneath the endless sky. Not human, not alien, but something greater. Two souls who found peace in each other.